Oh boy, that's different, ain't it? That's right, it's a new theme song, because this is episode 51. We've made 51 of these. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the War Room. This is day 71 of Russia's incursion into the Ukraine. But because I've done 50 previous episodes with the old intro, I thought I'd give you this one, because I thought it was groovy. And it's actually from the same game that the previous 50 episodes came from. I just like it. It's my jam. I hope you like it. If it's too loud, let me know, and I'll tweak it later. This is the first time I got to play it live on air. Don't worry, it's almost over. I even faded it perfectly. How about that? Yeah? How about that? Sorry. So anyway, hello, good evening, and welcome to the War Room. And as I previously stated, this is actually day 71, but it's only episode 51 because I had weeks with no internet. I had a few days where there was not enough news to share with you. And real life sometimes got in the way. But mostly it was just because there wasn't very many stories on certain days. And I didn't have internet for like 2 weeks. So my apologies. I did promise that I was going to do this every single day until this war was over. I'm still sort of committed to that promise. My channel has taken a bit of a hit because of it. I don't get to do the firearms reviews as much as I'd like to, even though I am in a literal armory from where I'm broadcasting from. Also, I haven't been able to do my other pastime, which is the penny arcades or the Kickin' It Old Schools. I had ended Kickin' It Old Schools' first season at the end of December, and I had never intended to go 5 months without the second season. Like, I've got everything prepped and ready to go for that. But Russians doing Russian things sort of got in my way. So, in order of what I thought was more important, I had decided to put my toys away and bring you this instead. And I don't regret it. My subscription base has grown evenly, I guess is a good way to put it. Not quickly, but it's been steady, and I'm okay with that. Apparently because of a couple of people that I used to hang out with on the former gun channels, I'm also lumped in with the persona non gratas. So the cross-pollination between former gun channels members, I'm not part of that list apparently, but it's okay. I'm not upset by it. It's just I find it rather unfortunate that you could be exiled by association or whatever. But it is what it is. I can't change their minds. They're going to do what they do. I'm going to do what I do. And I'm going to try not to be negative about it. Like, they didn't do anything to me personally to really upset me, so why would I take it out on them in return? Like, there's nothing going on. But if they want to add me to your program lists or just reminders or whatever, cool, you know? I'll cross-pollinate if you cross-pollinate. I guess that's a good way to put it. So today has been rather interesting in terms of news. I do have a few stories. Some of them are rather lengthy. I tried my best to get the pictures done and the scroller updated. I tried to make the text on the scroller bigger, but for some reason every time I make it larger, the character limit shortens. So I had to bring it back down to this size. My bad. Latin is a dead language, no worries. Yeah, man, you must have been listening in on the lobby today. So I guess since this is episode 51, I would like to self-promote just a little bit, if you would indulge me. My server here and the concept of broadcasting and giving gun content creators a new medium to provide information out into the ether at the cost of $0. This is my baby. This is what I did when the Google Hangouts was on the way out, and when Gun Channels was floundering for maintaining its existence, I guess is a good way to put it, because the software updates ceased and the owner couldn't keep it running in its usable form. I had tried to find alternatives to kind of keep the conversation going, as G-Webs would put it. And so I had suggested to him to create a Discord server because I had just joined the beta test team for Discord. And at first it was pretty well received. He took it, he ran it, I promoted it, I even broadcasted from it. And for some reason or whatever, he decided that that wasn't good enough, so he got rid of it, and then he shut down the website. So I have kept this medium going just because it works and it doesn't cost anything. I haven't asked for donations or Patreons or Utreons or whatever. I just do what I do because I'm an IT guy and I'm a psychologist and I'm a sociologist. And the idea was if the message was you can't stop the signal, then this is the best way to get the signal out, clearly, because anyone can do it and it doesn't cost you a dime. And then all you have to do is find people willing to sit down and listen, which I have started to create a small audience, so I am very grateful for that. Anyway, like I'd said in the past, the server is open to the public. The links to join it are in the description. If you are a up-and-coming, budding, or if you have the desire to try your hand at this, I have a tutorial series on how to set up your server or how to set up your channel, and you're more than welcome to host it here, just like the New Watch podcast does. That's always been an open invite since the day I did this. It's just very few people take me up on it because whatever reason, I really don't know. I mean, you can do it through GunTube also, or you can do it through a paid service like StreamYard if that's your jam. I mean, I'd rather use my money for ammo and primers, but if you want to pay for that, go for it. That's cool. It's just, this was supposed to be a free alternative, and it's very customizable, and it's very easy to use once you get over the learning curve. And from my experiences doing this, I've been able to make certain suggestions to the developer team of Discord to improve upon it. The one that I'm trying to get done right now is the avatars in the panel. So like the avatar should be bigger in that vast space that you're seeing on your screen. They could do that. That'd be great. Sorry. That went down the wrong pipe. Anyway, awkward day. I was supposed to get my what is this? This is a I think this is a JP Enterprises. Does that sound right? Man, I'm not even sure now. JMac Customs. That's what it is. So, I got a new brake for my AK. Well, for one of my AKs. And that will be a future episode. So I got that today. I was supposed to receive my VersaCarry holster for one of my carry pistols today. It says it was supposed to be here today, but the mailman didn't drop it off. So I don't know what happened. It was supposed to be in the mailbox. It's not. A little disappointing. The rifle that this brake that I bought is supposed to be here tomorrow. So, I did take a picture of the brake installed on a different AK. If you're on my server, it's in the Gunpix channel. I just added it before going live. And one thing you may notice is I'm by myself today in the channel. And the reason for that, strangely enough, is my co-host is asleep in the lobby for working stiffs. Here, maybe I'll even show you and embarrass him. See that? Up there? See him up there? Yeah, he's asleep over there. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Mr. Reliable. Not here. Asleep at the wheel. Funny thing is, he fell asleep before I left work 3 hours ago. Oh, look! I picked on him enough, and now he's in the green room. Hang on a second. Good evening, Chat Napper. Don't say you weren't sleeping, dude. I caught you snoring away. You were sawing logs super hard.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I was filling in people about the server and how this was episode 51, even though this is day 71. I also got my JMac Customs break today, but my holster didn't make it for whatever reason.
Huh.
And I did install it on the GF4 just temporarily for the picture that's in the Gun Picks channel, just so you can see it. But I took it right back off because the rifle it's supposed to go on will be here tomorrow. Big day. I mean, I use the word big very, very specifically. It's going to be a big day because this is a big rifle. Some of you already know what it is. The rest of you have to wait till Sunday. But it's big. Like, really big. It's the biggest one I could get. Let me put it to you that way. But eventually I'm going to get something even bigger than that one. Hopefully. But it also costs 2.5 times as much. Which kind of sucks. I want to wait for you to finish jerking off over there before I continue.
Making dinner.
No. For the first time ever, I tried McDonald's online ordering and pickup.
Yeah.
It was okay. It went relatively well. This lovely girl came out just as it began to rain. She started gawking at my car, and I was just like, I'm really sorry that you came out in the rain, but I swear to you it wasn't raining 5 minutes ago. She's like, it's okay. I'm like, really? She's like, I love your car. I'm like, oh, thanks. So, I have had dinner. We're good to go. Let me explain the thumbnail for today's episode. That was posted today on the Ukraine Ministry of Defense website. Especially after seeing the bodies of Russian soldiers being arranged in a Z. I thought that was hilarious. But this, I was like, how can they top that? This is how they did it. Yeah, they even got the plane or the drone crashing into the ground in this photo. I love it. I mean, these guys, they will never, ever admit defeat. They are a ride or die type people, and you have to love somebody like that. Like, they're not beaten down by any stretch. But yeah, actually the statistic is slightly out of date because they had surpassed 300 drones yesterday. And as you'll see in the statistics scrolling across the bottom of your screen, they will continue to knock out drones because now we're past 300, quite a bit. I gotta tell you, Ukrainian military, they have been busy the last couple of days. Like, those statistics, the plus minuses, or the pluses between days, have been substantial. And I had watched a report today basically saying, well, the Russians tried to come in from the north, they tried to take the capital, they failed. It was a military blunder, it was a logistics nightmare, it's an embarrassment for the global superpowers, to be considered one, and to be that poorly performing. And then they backed off, end around, came back in the east, and what are they saying today? The Russians are still getting their shit pushed in. They have increased their brutality, but they have not increased the amount of territory that they have seized or taken. And that's pathetic for a nation as big and scary as the world had perceived Russia to be. And I'm trying very hard not to talk too much shit about Russia, not because of fear for my life or whatever. It's just, I understand that this is a small percentage of the total people in that country. They're not all bad people, but in any war, you can say that about any belligerent nation. They're not all bad people. I get it. You all get it. We're not stupid. They're just a people led by idiots.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds really familiar, doesn't it? I mean, because we are truly a nation led by idiots. And I keep telling everybody, if you just put me in charge, I can fix this shit. Just leave me the fuck alone and put me in charge. And in 12 months, I'll have the whole world sorted out. And the only thing I ask in return is a little tiny card that says, if he needs it, give it to him. And I promise I won't abuse it. Just give me a small parcel of land known as Kodiak Island, and that little card, and a little house, and a little truck, and a little float plane, and I'll be happy. That's all I ask. And if you have a starship, put me on it. That'd be cool too. I don't have to own that. Just put me on it. Be cool. Anyway, I have some stories for you. I'm trying to do this with my AK in my lap. It's quite heavy for some reason tonight. I mean, I've only got a 30-round mag in it. You know, I haven't even tried my new 40s. I should try that. We'll do it live. Don't worry, there won't be any negligent discharges. I'm not going to charge the handle or anything. But I got these mags, and I never even tried them. We're doing it live. Uh-oh. No bueno. Really? Seriously? What the? Okay, well the 40-round mags don't fit my AK. That's embarrassing. That's really
kind of
embarrassing.
surprising, actually. Which ones did you get?
South Korean ones.
Yeah, but which ones?
The 40-round Steelies.
Which brand?
I don't fucking know.
Because there's KCI or there's RWB.
This isn't RWB. No way. Oh, there we go. You just have to push it in a bit harder. Huh. That's going to look really nice on my new rifle. It's the feed lip, or the locking lip on this thing. It's a little tight. My US Palm mags were like that too. These Croatian 30-rounders though, they lock in beautifully. Which everyone says they're terrible, but I've got 6 of them now, and they all run great so far.
It's actually kind of funny considering.
Isn't it? Mad Sexy, you're asking what part did I get? I bought, well, okay, so I bought a, I keep forgetting the name, JMac Customs. It's called, the part number is RRD4C14. It's a 4-chamber muzzle brake. And I did my homework. Basically what I was trying to do is I was debating between this and a Spike's pepper pot brake. They have a different name for it, obviously, but I wanted the thing that gave me the most flash suppression. And the JMac Customs would beat them all. Like, I saw it in slow motion video. This guy tried like every brake under the sun. This one won out. I think I paid like $89 for it, which, I mean, Jesus Christ, for a small piece of metal that they melanite, that's a ripoff. But, you know, you pay for the R&D or whatever. So my GF4 came with a slant brake, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm sort of old school. So, like, if you saw my AKP, I wanted the Bin Laden rifle, so it's got, like, the nutmeg furniture, and I put the fake light mags on it. And I kind of left the gun alone, because it had that little booster brake that I really like, that a crank has. But the only difference between mine and Bin Laden's is his is a 5.45. His is an AKS-74U. Mine's an AKP, because I wanted it in 7.6239. So I achieved the look without compromising the caliber. And then I followed that up with, okay, that's Baby Bear. Now I wanted Mama Bear, which is a standard size AK. So I went, I wanted a WBP Fox, a Polish, because it's got that locking stud in the back of the trunnion, so you can use the barrel clamp on over the top of the rail cover mount. And our buddy, Scott's and mine, Jaime, he actually bought that barrel's rail mount because I told him to. And he put it on, and it looks fantastic. And I really like it. But the WBP Foxes were out of stock. for almost a month now, and I was watching very carefully, and I kept wanting to buy it, but it wasn't in stock. So instead of spending, what is it, $12.99, something like that. Do I still have it on? I don't have it on here anymore. I think it was like $12.49 or $12.99. Instead of spending that, I went back to the place I got my AKP, which is Palmetto State Armory. And the AKP, since Mad Sexy's asking what's the difference between the AKP and the AKU, I guess what you're saying is the AKS 74U, maybe? I don't know. You can type it in and I'll try to answer it. The AKP is a standard AK receiver with a, I think it's a, I want to say it's a 12-inch barrel, but it's got the crink style booster with the little like canister looking bit and then like the cone on the end of it. I really like those. Like, I love the way that thing looks. People say it doesn't really help with flash suppression or anything. I don't care. Like, I wanted that. So it came with it. And then I got the one that had the nutmeg furniture because Bin Laden's rifle had standard walnut furniture. And it had a folding stock, triangular folding stock. His has the folding stock, mine has the folding brace. But essentially it's the same brace that you found on my Kalashnikov USA KP9. So I thought, oh, that's cool. The other nice thing is the AKP came with a Picatinny top cover, a hinged one, spring-loaded and hinged. So I didn't have to add anything to mount an optic. I had to get the RS Regulate side mount because it had the partition for the side mount, and then it had the rail on the top. So I had to do that for that situation. But anyway, yeah, the 74U, or sorry, the AKP, it's basically like an AKS 74U in appearance and size and dimension, but it's chambered in 7.6239 as opposed to 5.45 by 45. And then when I got it, one of the annoying things is the rear sight is fixed. Like, it's non-adjustable. It's a block that's milled to look like a rear sight. And I thought, okay, whatever. And then I had an RMR, a Trigicon RMR, just sitting in a box. So one day I decided, well, let me just see if it looks okay on there. So I stuck it on there, turned it on, and the dot was right on top of the post of the front sight. And I thought, oh no, that's great. That's perfect co-witness. So that AKP has an RMR on it, pistol sight. And the only modifications I did to it was that, and I put a TSS, which is Texas Shooter Supply. It's a extended charging handle knob. When I did the KP9, I bought everything from Ivan the Bear Tactical, Zenitco furniture, and I bought their RP1 charging handle knob. Well, I can't get those right now, and they were out of stock anyway. So I tried the Texas Shooter Supply because I went to my local gun shop or gun show, and the guy who works for Texas Shooting Supply used to work for Zenitco. So he said, yeah, I got those. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I make them here now in Texas. So he just gave me one. He's like, let me know what you think. So I put it on the AKP. Anyway, after the AKP, I was trying to buy a WBB Fox. Was out of stock. So, not to be a snob, I went back to PSA. And the AKP is a Gen 3. GF3 is Generation Forged 3rd Gen. So, it's forged trunnions, forged bolt, and bolt face. And then it's a 4150 barrel. I've got no complaints. Like, I like it. It runs. I did my little safety notch for a bolt hold open for it. Took that just fine. Fit and finish is good. Rivets are good. Everything's good. And it has a lifetime warranty. So it's like if anything goes wrong, I'm sure they'll take care of it. Until they don't. But for now, I'm happy. Since I couldn't get the Fox, I decided to check out their full-size rifles. I looked at the GF3s, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what I can get for a couple extra bucks. I found their Generation 4, and they had it with the artificial Bakelite furniture. And I thought, wow, that's a sharp-looking rifle. So I bought it because it was $400 less than the WPV Fox. Difference between the Gen 3 and the Gen 4 is cold hammer forged chrome line barrel. And it came with their advanced AK trigger already installed. So I thought, oh, that's cool. The real kicker was it was $150 less than the AKP. So the Gen 4 had a better barrel and an upgraded trigger and the Fakeolite furniture, and it was $150 less than the AKP. I was like, huh. So I bought it. And then I topped that off with the RS Regulate mount and a Romeo MSR and Juliet 3 Micro, which is not going to stay on that gun. I decided already what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that off. That's going on the rifle that's going to be delivered tomorrow. And then I'm going to replace the mount and the optic on this GF4 with a KUSA full-length mount. And I think I'm going to run a... what the hell was that thing called, Scott? Hollow Sun 407C green. There was something under the end of it. But I'm gonna run another pistol red dot on this Mama Bear sized AK, the standard size. And then tomorrow I get to go pick up my Papa Bear, which is not exactly an AK. It's bigger. And then that's going to get this RS Regulate mount with the Romeo and Juliet setup, because it just makes more sense. Because I need the magnification plus what this thing is about, what you're going to see, you'll look at it and go, yeah, that makes more sense. So the standard AK is going to probably get the Hollow Sun, because if that dot sits on top of this post, I'll be happy as a clam. And then the zoom in optic, flip over the mount sight, all that shit with the Romeo and Juliet, that'll go on what I'm picking up tomorrow, which is already paid for, which was 3.5 times cheaper than a different version of it, which blew my mind. They raised what I bought. They jacked up the price $200 in the last 4 months, but it's still 3.5 times cheaper than what's already out there, which is far more expensive for the same kind of gun.
Also, what's out there will go explodey on you.
No, I was thinking about the actual Zastava, the really expensive one, the one that was like $5,000,
Oh,
5,900. Like, it's nice. I got to play with one and hold it and everything, and it's cool, but it ain't $5,900 cool. I'm sorry. Like what I bought.
Cool.
Yeah, like what I bought is it's gonna take care of everything. Like it's gonna scratch all the right itches. Oh, Mad Sexy's leaving. Fine. We'll see you later. You can always catch us in the replay. Anyway, I'll make a video for that. I'll film it tomorrow. You guys will see it Sunday. I'll make time and I'll make sure you see it. I'm trying not to say what it is. Scott knows what it is, but like most of y'all don't know. You're gonna know soon enough, and you're gonna be like, "Holy shit!"
I'm sure if they're into AKs, they already know.
Huh?
I'm sure if they're into AKs, they already know.
Well, they might have a good idea, but if they don't, I can tell you right now, it's not a Dragunov. I can't afford that. I can't afford that. Actually, if I didn't buy the 2 snake guns and the 2 AKs that I already just got this year, then yeah, I could actually buy a Dragunov, but anyway, it's okay. Hope your flip to side mount stays zeroed. Oh no, the flip to side mount the flip to side thing is just for the magnifier. The red dot is fixed to the mount. That doesn't move. But like you were saying though, even those, the slide-on AK side mounts or whatever, I made sure that when I adjusted it, that when I put it on the gun and flipped the lever, it was so tight that it had 0 jiggle. So that means every time I put it on, it should sort of be in the same place. But then again, you know what? I'm honestly, I'm not an MOA queen either. Like, if it's Minute of Grapefruit or Minute of Man, for me, honestly, if it's Minute of Man at 500 yards, I'm fine. Like, I could live with that. Because it's sort of like people who are all snobbish about your carry pistols. I'll give you a good example. I own a $1,500 Walther. It's a competition gun. I don't carry it a single day. It's too big and it's too heavy. It's a very fine pistol. It's just, I don't carry it. And what I do carry is a Glock 43X and a Smith & Wesson M&P Easy Shield 380, depending on my mood. Sometimes I carry a Smith & Wesson 3913 Ladysmith. Sometimes I carry a 5906. Does that sound right, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5906. Sometimes I carry a 4006 TSW. It just really depends on my mood. But I'll tell you one thing. I can get taken out anytime, completely unaware, by some jerk off with a high point. You know what I mean? It's just like, eh. So, it's like, I'm not a snob about my guns, honestly. And the other thing is at first, when I started getting into this AK thing, I was really listening to everybody else about, oh, I should get this, I should get a Z-Pap, I should get a Zastava, I should get an Arsenal, I should get this. And I thought, okay, they're all valid points. And then the first thing I bought, aside from my KP9, was the AKP. And then I bought the GF4. And I'm actually kind of proud to say that all my AKs are made in America. If you think about it, even my KP9, Kalashnikov USA KP9, one-to-one clone of a Vichaz, made in America. AKP, forged, lifetime warranty, made in America. GF4, forged, lifetime warranty. Cold hammer forged chromeline barrel, made in America. The only difference between the GF4 and the GF5, the GF4 comes with their in-house upgraded trigger and their in-house cold hammer forged chromeline barrel. The GF5 comes with an ALG, ALG AKT UL Ultimate trigger and cold hammer forged chromeline FN barrel. But the fact of the matter is that's another $350 to $400 for basically the same gun with the same warranty. It's just who made the barrels different. Maybe there's accuracy to be had there, but then again, most of you guys own AKs. You already know accuracy is not really what you care about with an AK, is it? Barrel whip is a thing. So it's like, I'm happy with what I got. It's fine. It really is.
Well, if it's not a mass-produced AK, you can get it sub-MOA.
Yeah. You can get it with a really rigid barrel, heavy profile, all that good stuff. Oh, that's the other thing.
No, it's just the amount of attention a hand-assembled AK gets.
Right, but I mean, barrel whip is a thing regardless. Now, the thing I'm picking up tomorrow, heavy profile barrel. Less likely to do that.
Which is why I love my pepper.
Heavy barrel.
Super heavy barrel. Especially for 5.56.
So now that I've wasted 33 minutes of your time with intros and explanations, and this was episode 51 with a new intro and all that good stuff, let's go ahead and get started with the news. Thanks for putting up with that whole long intro. So my first story today... Well, yeah. My first story today comes out just after midnight, so 12:31, 7:31 local time. And it starts off with Russia has attacked rail stations and other supply line targets in an effort to prevent Western military supplies from getting to Ukrainians. The Russian military said it used sea and air-launched missiles to destroy electric power facilities at 5 railway stations all across Ukraine. Artillery and aircraft also struck troop strongholds and fuel and ammunition depots. Essentially what's going on is they know we're providing them what they need to whoop their ass, and now they're trying to knock out depots, infrastructure, and communications to coordinate the deliveries of what we're sending them. Pretty smart. Not going to work, though, because we'll just drop them off in Poland and then drive them across if we have to. Just a thought. Anyway, let's move on. A couple minutes later, I get another story, and I have a photo right there. Cat photo bombed it. I don't know what the deal is. A total of 341 civilians were evacuated from Mariupol, Manhush, and Berdyansk, Tokmak, and Vasilivka on Wednesday, according to the United Nations. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cities, or villages, towns, and you've only got 341 people? Wow. Anyway, earlier this week, more than 150 civilians were able to leave the Azovstal steel plant, where they were hiding as Russians attacked the city. No civilians were able to get out of the plant on yesterday. And there's that Z. Anyway, moving on. So today is very Azovstal-centric, if you didn't know. We're going to talk a lot about that. Azovstal Steel Complex is a area about 3 square city blocks. It has a foundry. It's a metalworks facility, essentially, right? Imagine like a shipyard, but inland slightly. And it's in Mariupol, which is a coastal city. But it's basically the Alamo for eastern Ukraine, Mariupol. It's the port city, right? And they have dug in, and they have been under constant attack every day since Putin said, I don't need to attack that. We'll just encircle them and starve them out until they surrender. And everyone thought, oh, well, that's cool. Now, when he said that, everyone thought, okay, he's saying that because he doesn't want to lose any troops unnecessarily. But then literally 24 hours later, he's hitting it with bunker buster bombs out of Tu-95 Bears. And now he's attacking it with artillery, and he's bombarding it every single day. So, I turned the Ukraine war room into a cat rescue video. Yes, I did. Actually, no, a couple days ago I had a doggo video, too. But anyway, let me get on from this one. And about 3 hours later, we have an update, again, essentially, from the same thing. Make sure I got the captions all correctly. Yeah. So now it's Azovstal attacked. I had to pause that in the middle of the video so you can see it exploding. Because all that smoke wasn't just a fire that's been raging. All that smoke came from a string of explosions. And I stopped it so you could see the explosion. Anyway. 10:39 a.m. local time, Ukraine. The besieged Azovstal steel plant, where hundreds of civilians and Ukrainian fighters are believed to be sheltering, remains under heavy fire, according to the Ukrainian military. Late Wednesday, Ukrainian commander Denis Prokopenko said defenders inside the plant are fighting difficult, bloody battles with Russian troops, and a member of parliament said that the Russians had been able to enter the plant for the first time. The extent of this Russian advance remains unclear, and Russian forces likely face further costly fighting if they intend to clear the entire facility. This came from the Washington, D.C. Institute for the Study of War late Wednesday. For those of you who don't know, that place has been led by retired General Jack Keane, who I quote very often because I think he's one of the few brilliant military minds out there right now. Like, he really knows his shit. The Kremlin likely hopes that the successful capture of Azovstal through a ground assault will cement the Kremlin's growing effort to claim complete control of Mariupol by May 9th, which is Russia's annual Victory Day, with Russian propagandists recently arriving in the city to set conditions for further claims for a Russian victory. Around 200 civilians are believed to be trapped inside the plant in the destroyed port city of Mariupol, along with hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers. Azovstal is the last Ukrainian holdout in the city, and Russian President Vladimir Putin had already claimed victory there late last month. They had promised Wednesday that starting Thursday through Saturday, civilians would be allowed to evacuate the plant but the fighting continued overnight anyway. A number of civilians were able to evacuate earlier this week. Mariupol Mayor Vadim Boychenko said that Russian forces were targeting the already shattered Azovstal plant with heavy artillery, tanks, aircraft, warships, and heavy bombs that are able to pierce concrete 3 to 5 meters thick. Bunker busters. Our brave guys are defending this fortress, but it's very difficult. A Russian official earlier denied that troops were storming the plant, but the commander of the main Ukrainian unit inside said Russian soldiers had pushed into the mill's territory, so they broke the outer walls. With the support of aircraft, the enemy resumed the offensive in order to take control of the plant, the general staff in Kiev said, adding that the Russians were trying to destroy every Ukrainian unit on the ground. Huh. Shocker. Russia believes in absolute victory, that's why. Anyway. Oh, I have a story that I didn't even put in the timeline today. In a very rare display of... I don't know what to call it. Anyway, Sergei Lapdog kept saying stuff like denazification and how Hitler was a Jew and all this other stuff, right? It really pissed off the Israelis. Vladimir Putin publicly apologized for the comments made by Sergei Lavrov yesterday. Think about that. He apologized to Israel. I wonder why.
Because Israel's a nuclear power.
Well, that's part of it. But the other part of it is I think he realizes he's pissed off enough countries in the region that he doesn't want to add more to that list. Just a hunch. But yeah, your point is incredibly valid. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see. We are going to fast forward another hour, and it's about 12:45 local time. Ukrainian local time, that is. And we got an update from the UK Ministry of Defense, which I haven't had in a while, so there you go. Russia will likely try to inflate the threat posed by Belarus's military conducting seasonal exercises across Ukraine's northern border to force Ukrainian soldiers to stay in the north, preventing them from being committed to the battle for the Donbass. This came from Britain's Defense Ministry Thursday morning. Belarus's exercises are in line with several norms as Belarus enters the culmination of its winter training cycle in the month of May. Deviation from normal exercise activity that could pose a threat to allies and partners is not currently anticipated. Now, I just read that from my notes, but it's almost verbatim for what you're seeing on your screen. But essentially what this translates to is Belarusian military exercises happening right now just seems a bit too coincidental with Russia's desperate push to take over the East. And what this is saying is, well, if the Belarusians are doing their exercises so close to the border, Ukraine might keep their people in the region as emergency defenders, which pulls them away from, moving east to the defense of the Donbass, splitting their forces essentially. It's kind of a clever tactic, but then again, the UK Ministry of Defense says, well, no, they do this exercise every year. We have no reason to believe that it's anything other than that. Well, he is Putin's lapdog. There's that. So you always have to keep that in the back of your mind. I guess we'll know in a day or two. Moving right along. We're just swimming right through this pretty well. This next picture and this next story I had, honestly, I really admired the photo. I think it's a beautiful city. I think it's a complete waste to put it where it is, but it's still a beautiful city. Anyway, around the same time, this photo came out. And you got to admit, that is gorgeous. But it's in the dumbest place on Earth, geographically speaking. 11:44 a.m. Ukrainian time. Wealthy Russians are moving to Dubai in large numbers to avoid the impacts of sanctions imposed by the West on the country. Russians buying property in Dubai has surged 67% in the last 3 months, just this year, according to the BBC. The UAE hasn't sanctioned Russia over the war and isn't restricting visas for Russians who aren't facing sanctions personally. Well, duh. Any money that can come into the UAE, they welcome with open arms. They won't deny nothing. And I bet if you dig really hard, I bet they don't have extradition laws either. Just a hunch. Either way, gorgeous city, gorgeous skyline. That's where all your petrodollars went. We could have had that here. Actually, let me take that back. That
Yeah.
skyline that you see there, we could have had that here in 10 years' time if Biden didn't stop what Trump had started with our energy independence. I think that's a more accurate statement. Anyway, let me play a little catch up with the chat because you guys have been busy in there. HVS says, I can just see various gun channels people infiltrating into Ukraine just to get a Dragunov rifle off some poor sniper on the battlefield. I got to admit, dude, I'd do it. I'd love to do it.
If someone didn't already get a VSS, I could certainly see a certain Brandon Herrera doing that.
All I'm saying is if I was more able and fit and I went there, I'm not even going to say the names of the people I'm thinking of, but I'm incredibly fit compared to a couple of those people I have in mind. I could stand to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I could stand to lose 10 pounds, but if I didn't have such shitty arthritis in my knees, then maybe I could go over there. But yeah, if I went, I'd come home with a Dragunov and a T-92 tank and a harem of Ukrainian women. Sure, why not? Spoils of war. Anyway. HVS says, Israel has gone to very great lengths diplomatically over the years to establish goodwill or respect and peaceful relations with Russian leaders. That's correct. You are absolutely correct. I read a great story about that today. One of the reasons that Putin is trying very hard not to offend the Israelis is because you would be surprised how many Israeli people have heritage and generational pasts from people of Ukraine and Russia. That's true. Like, a lot of the people in Israel have descendants that came out of Ukraine and Russia. So yeah, I think he sees the wood for the trees and he's like, listen, Lavrov, shut the fuck up. Like, don't piss them off. Not only are they a nuclear power, but a lot of those people used to be from here, or their grandparents used to be from here. And he's like, he doesn't gain anything by offending Israel at all. So he's like, just shut up, Lavrov, and that kind of thing. Anyway, and you were right, Dubai and the UAE are absolutely capitalist. Why not? I mean, you're in a dust bowl in the middle of nowhere, and the only reason that anyone's interested in you is because you whore your oil fields. Let's not kid ourselves. It's like everyone likes Amber Heard because she's cute. Well, 10 years ago.
Used to be
cute. But the second everyone realized that she shit on the bed, nobody wants to touch her with a 10-foot pole now. It's the same thing. It's like, if the UAE didn't have oil, nobody would give a crap about it. Let's not kid ourselves. And you're right, the Burj Khalifa is built upon... The Burj Khalifa is gorgeous. But I think they built a bigger one than that, not even 2 years later. The Burj Dubai, I think it's what it's called. Or maybe that's the same one. Anyway, moving on. I still think it's a beautiful city, don't get me wrong. Plus, they have some of the coolest police cars ever. They have a Bugatti Veyron police car. They have
because they gotta keep up with the sheiks.
They have a Mercedes McLaren SLR 772 police car. I'm like, holy shit, how cool is that? Anyway, the coolest thing my county has, uh, Challenger Red Eyes and Charger Hellcats. They've got a couple of those. And I can't wait for that police auction. Anyway, moving on. Around the same time, so we're still just around a quarter to noon. A lot of these stories came right around the same time. And I made sure that I named this guy in the photo because, you know, you honor people by not forgetting who they are. Anyway, quarter to noon, local time, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky paid tribute to a Ukrainian TV journalist who died fighting for his country Wednesday near the eastern city of Izium. Alexander Makov was 36. He was patriotic, sincere, and always without vanity, Zelensky said in his nightly address, because he has a nightly address every day there. And he was always among the bravest among those first in line. Makov was a veteran of reporting from war zones. Why did I put this out there? Fox News lost 3 journalists. One was a Ukrainian nationalist, female. One was a 30 or 40 year producer veteran, and then like his assistant. And the only survivor out of all of them was a younger guy by the name of Benjamin Hall. And Benjamin Hall was like the Elroy Jetson of Fox News. Clean cut, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, rosy-cheeked. Like, you would look at that guy and go, what is he doing? He's not a journalist. He's an altar boy. Now he looks like Snake Plissken. I'm not even kidding. I am not kidding. He lost a leg, part of his arm, and an eye. And he wears an eye patch now. And the dude looks like a freaking badass. Like, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow and Snake Plissken hair. And he's still alive. He's probably not going to do journalism anymore, or at least on-site journalism, but every time a journalist was hurt, injured, or killed, our government or their government had always honored those people by calling them out by name. This man's name is Alexander Makov, and they do a job that very few will. They walk into a battlefield unarmed with anything but a camera just to tell the story. And they died for it. And it takes a pretty giant set of meaty ones to do that. Because if you start getting shot at, you've got nothing to defend yourself with.
Oh, it also takes a couple screws loose.
For some of them, yeah. No doubt. Some of them actually look for the shit to get into it. But
The quote-unquote Dennis Hoppers.
yeah. I'm not going to play the Jetsons theme music, no. But if I did, I would play that Eep Op Ork Ah Ah, because that was my favorite song in the whole series. Anyway, that was Jet Screamer, I think it was. I can't even believe I remember that shit. Moving on. We're going to fast forward an hour. I called this picture The Dig, which is actually a really good British movie, if you haven't seen it, The Dig. Anyway, this is The Dig, Ukrainian version. Ukrainian President Zelensky said Thursday morning that an extended ceasefire was necessary in Mariupol to allow civilians to be dug out of the bunkers in the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. Said Mariupol twice, which remains under attack. Russia previously agreed to allow civilians to leave the plant for several hours each day, starting on Thursday and ending Saturday. But Zelensky said that's not enough. It will take time simply to lift people out of these buried basements, out of those underground shelters, he said in his nightly address. In the present conditions, we cannot use heavy equipment to clear the rubble away. It all has to be done by hand, as you can see here. So yeah, there's supposedly a civilian withdrawal agreement. Which means technically the 36th Marine Brigade that's in there, if they strip down to their skivvies and jump into civilian clothes, they could Trojan horse their way out of there. But they won't, because they're proud people. And they're going to make sure that the civilians get out without getting shot at. And they don't want to compromise the safety of those people by blending in with those people on the way out. Even though that's probably the smartest thing you can do. Whatever. What do I know? Oh yeah, I haven't said that in a while, right? I don't know shit about war. Moving on. We're going to fast forward about 2 more hours. So now it's 2:45 p.m. local time, Ukraine. And just bear with me because it's a long story and I have to make sure I have a picture. I do. Here you go. Mariupol's advisor to the mayor said Thursday that the filtration camps, filtration?
Concentration.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me.
Well done. Set up by Russian forces outside the southern port city have become ghettos where men face torture and forced labor. It does look kind of ghetto, doesn't it? Petro Andriushenko said 3 filtration camps have been established east of Mariupol in the village of Bezimian, roughly 20 miles from the Russian border, which are believed to be housing 2,000 men who will be used in Russia's Victory Day parade on May 9th. The officials said one video leaked from a camp in the I've never read this one before. Novoazovsk. No. Novoazovsk. Novoazovsk. Shit, I can't say that one. Novoazovsk. Yeah, district. Sorry. That one's going to take some practice. That an old school building is being used to forcibly detain Ukrainian men taken from Guglino, Mirini, and I haven't read this one before either. Volonterivka. Okay, that one's not too bad. Volonterivka districts. The men have reportedly been denied medical assistance or adequate care, and at least 1 case of tuberculosis has been confirmed. Russian soldiers reportedly turned the school gym into an isolation ward where a large number of people were locked up without medical care. Conditions of detention are terrible. People are forced to sleep on the floor in the corridors, he said. At least 1 man has reportedly died after being denied medical care, though it is unclear what he died from. Andriushenko posted several videos on Telegram that appear to have been discreetly shot from within the schoolhouse. The mayoral advisor called the images a real ghetto for Mariupol, and said without exaggeration, this is a new page in Russia's military crime. Andriushenko said that the men have had their identification documents taken from them and have been instead issued filtration papers. Why do they keep calling it filtration?
Because they're using it instead of using the real name.
Right. Several men reportedly attempted to escape after they saw UN and Red Cross evacuation buses, but they were captured and beaten. All detained men, including the sick and those with disabilities, are required to do hard labor. Andriushenko suggested that the Russians have not yet decided how they use the Ukrainian men, but said that they will either be forcibly conscripted into Russia's ranks or be used to help clear the rubble from Mariupol, the site of one of Russia's largest bombing campaigns in Ukraine. At the same time, on Monday, May 2nd, it was announced that the men would take part in the parade on May 9th in Mariupol as prisoners, he added, noting that they will be dressed in the uniform of a Ukrainian soldier. Now, how does that final speech go in the movie Patton? About the Russian, or about the Romans? Do you remember that?
No, I know. I know this. I kind of remember the speech about the Carthaginians.
No, it's not that one. Oh, it's this one. Shit, it's just the last line in that. Damn it, I need the whole thing. I wish I had that. I wish I was a little bit more prepared for that. Maybe this is what it is here. Oh, yeah, here it is. So, essentially what you're going to see on May 9th is something that Patton had described at the end of the movie, or George C. Scott said in the end of the movie, Patton. For over 1,000 years, Roman conquerors returning from the wars enjoyed the honor of triumph, a tumultuous parade. In the procession came the trumpeters, musicians, and strange animals from conquered territories, together with carts laden with treasure and captured armaments. The conquerors rode in a triumphal chariot, the dazed prisoners walking in chains before him. Sometimes his children, robed in white, stood with him in the chariot or rode the trace horses. A slave stood behind the conqueror, holding a golden crown and whispering in his ear a warning that all glory is fleeting. Yeah, that's exactly what is going to happen May 9th in Mariupol. Except it won't be the Russian conquerors, it'll be a bunch of Russian conscripts. And they won't be riding around in chariots. They'll be sitting on the back of antiquated shitbox T-72 tanks with a white Z painted on them very crudely. And there won't be carts laden with treasures and captured armaments. There'll be dump trucks with the rubble of the Azovstal steel plant in it. And there won't be prisoners walking in chains. There'll be prisoners dressed up like actors in Ukrainian military uniforms, whether they're military or not. They won't be in chains. They'll be surrounded by military Russian, troops with machine guns, but they'll be paraded like some sort of spectacle of failure. And there won't be a slave standing behind the conqueror saying that all victory is fleeting. Instead, hopefully, there'll be a drone that kills that general in the middle of that parade to remind the world that all glory is fleeting. I got to read about those new UAV drones, the ones that are even smaller than the Switchblades, and apparently those things are so accurate they could fly around, target a single general in the passenger seat of a vehicle, and execute him and hit nobody else. That's how good those drones are, the ones we just recently donated. So maybe that'll happen on May 9th. One can only hope. Anyway, moving on. Filtration camps. Jesus Christ. We're going to fast forward another hour. 3:49 p.m. And do I have a photo for this? I do not. Sweden's foreign minister says that her country has received security assurances from the U.S. if it decides to forge ahead with the process of joining NATO, a move that has been met with nuclear threats from Russia. Anne Lind made the announcement after meeting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. Lind, speaking with Swedish media, said the assurances would mean that Russia can be clear that if they direct any kind of negative activities against Sweden, which they have threatened, it would not be something that the U.S. would just allow to happen without response. Right, because, we didn't allow that to happen with Ukraine, and now they're all over the country. Right. Naturally, I'm not going to go into any details, but I feel very sure that now we have an American assurance, she reportedly added. However, not concrete security guarantees. Those you can only get if you are a full member of NATO. Sweden and its neighbor Finland have been looking to join NATO following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's their decision, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said last week. But if they decide to apply, Finland and Sweden will be warmly welcomed, and I expect that process will go quickly. I hope it goes a lot quicker than the last 8 years you've been dicking around with Ukraine. However, Russia warned in mid-April that it will bolster its defenses in the Baltic Sea, including a potential nuclear escalation if Sweden and Finland join NATO. There can be no more talk of any nuclear-free status for the Baltic. The balance must be restored. This came from Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and former president of Russia, he said at the time. Until today, Russia has not taken such measures and was not going to. But if our hand is forced, well, take note, it was not us who proposed this. Actually, it was. You proposed the response. But whatever. Russians doing Russian things. Moving on. Literally a couple minutes later. And I have this photo for you right here. He just looks like a fat, balder version of Stacy Keach. Slavy Keach. I guess that's what we can call him. 3:54 p.m. Belarus. Belarusian president and Putin ally, more like Putin lapdog, Alexander Lukashenko revealed Thursday that he didn't expect Russia's invasion of Ukraine to drag on like this. Lukashenko, in an interview with the AP, also claimed he was doing everything to stop the war, despite Moscow using Belarus as a springboard for the conflict, which obviously began on February 24th and now is in its 71st day. I am not immersed in this problem enough to say whether it goes according to plan, like the Russians say, or like I feel it. I want to stress one more time, I feel like this operation has dragged on too long. We categorically do not accept any war. We have done and are doing everything now so that there isn't a war. Thanks to yours truly, me that is, negotiations between Russia and Ukraine have begun, he continued. You fat, arrogant prick. Like he made sure it was me, if you didn't know. But why is Ukraine, on whose territory a war in effect is ongoing, military action, people are dying, why is Ukraine not interested in these negotiations, Lukashenko asked. Oh, I don't know, maybe because they're fucking defending their own country? Why would you want to negotiate when it's your country under attack? Here's a negotiation. The fuck out of Ukraine. That's for starters. Anyway. Lukashenko said that it would be unacceptable to use nuclear weapons, but he couldn't say if Russia had such plans. Not only is the use of nuclear weapons unacceptable because it's right next to us, but we are not across the ocean like the United States. It is also unacceptable because it might knock our terrestrial ball flying off the orbit to who knows where. Clearly you know nothing about physics. Whether or not Russia is capable of that is a question you need to ask the Russian leadership. Why? You get daily briefs from them. Prick. Can you tell I'm not a fan of him? Russia deployed forces to Belarusian territory under the pretext of military drills, and then sent them rolling into Ukraine as part of the invasion. Lukashenko publicly supported the operation, alleging at a meeting with President Vladimir Putin in early March that Ukraine planned to attack Belarus, and that Moscow's offensive prevented that. He said he brought a map to show Putin from where the alleged attack was supposed to take place, but offered no evidence to back the claim. Shocker. On Wednesday, the Belarusian military announced snap drills that prompted Ukraine to say that it was ready for any involvement of their troops in the war. However, Lukashenko assured Thursday that the drills were not meant to threaten anybody. We do not threaten anyone, and we are not going to threaten and will not do it. Moreover, we can't threaten. We know who opposes us, so to unleash some kind of a conflict, some kind of a war here in the West, is absolutely not in the interest of the Belarusian state. So the West can sleep peacefully. I couldn't trust that fat-ass retard as far as I could throw him. Could you? Would you? Think of how many people were in his country that weren't his countrymen, who simply were allowed to be there and step off into a war that has now reached its 71st day. You cannot trust that fat-headed pig. HVS says that joining NATO is becoming easier than crossing the southern U.S. border. That is the most false statement you have ever said to date. I have to point that out. Coming across the U.S. border is one of the easiest things you could do. There was a sting in the news where American journalists, just dressed up in street clothes, walked across the border into Mexico and then turned around and walked right back into the United States with a group of, quote, migrants. It's easy. First of all, you need to stop calling them migrants. You need to start calling them what they actually are. Criminal invaders. If you start doing it that way and calling them what they really are, then you might actually get more support for stopping it from the people of the country. But if you keep calling them migrants as if they're poor downtrodden people who are down on their luck and just trying to find a better life, and you call them what they actually are, yeah, people will start to realize that this is all a sham. Anyway, moving on. Think of the children. Fast forward 2 hours. 3:51 evening hours have begun to settle in Ukrainian time. And do I have a photo for this? Yes, I do. So let me post that. I think I only got like 2 more stories, so just bear with me. 5:51 p.m. Ukrainian and Moscow time, same time zone. Stupid Z is on the front of that truck, as you can see. Russia has ramped up its aggression in the southern Ukrainian region of Kherson by blocking humanitarian corridors and capturing local officials. Located just north of the Black Sea, Ukrainian officials warned last month that Russia will look to annex Kherson as it attempts to take full control over eastern and southern Ukraine. Dominance over these regions would not only create a land bridge to Russia from occupied Crimea, but it would grant it complete control over all Ukrainian port cities, effectively landlocking the country. Russia forces have not only blocked humanitarian access to Kherson, but are also barring anyone from leaving the occupied area. In the recent days, they have blocked entry and exit from the region of Mykolaiv and other cities. This is a big problem. This came from the first deputy chairman of the Kherson Regional Council, a man by the name of Yuri Sobolevsky. And he said this in a translated post on Telegram. We are not even talking about humanitarian corridors. We understand that they will not even give them. They are interested in making things worse. Oh, so you're the guy putting the thumbs down in the videos. Anyway, violence in the region has escalated in recent weeks, and on Monday, the mayor of the village of Chornobaivka has reportedly been hospitalized after the town council was seized by Russian troops. The town mayor is said to be in critical condition and in a hospital supervised, that was in quotes, by Russian troops. Town officials said that the council was searched and questioned by Russian forces before the deputy mayor was then kidnapped. His whereabouts remain unknown, and a Russian flag has been hung over the council building. We have evidence that the Kremlin may be preparing to stage sham referenda in Ukraine's south and east. This came from Michael Carpenter, the U.S. ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE. Carpenter said Russia will look to establish the Kherson People's Republic, and Moscow has already claimed to have liberated the region, requiring the Russian ruble, that's a typo, requiring the Russian ruble to be used there. Of course, this is pure fantasy and fabrication, he says. No such entity exists outside of the Kremlin's propaganda machine. Officials have warned Ukrainians against taking part in any such vote, but as Carpenter warned, Russia will likely fabricate the vote either way. We saw this repeatedly in 2014 as the Kremlin orchestrated so-called referenda in the Ukrainian regions of Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk. Each time with faked high percentages of public support, he added. The reality, of course, is that Russia installed puppet regimes who were dependent on Russian bribes and orchestrated nebulous people's councils, in quotes, to create phony constitutions. Where have we heard something like that before?
People's councils? Is that like the People's Revolutionary Council?
No. This part. The Kremlin orchestrated so-called referenda in the Ukrainian regions of Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk, each time with faked high percentages of public support. 2020 election, maybe? High percentages of turnouts and votes that no one could account for, and I don't know. My Reynolds rap game is pretty low today. Anyway. Moving on. Final story of the night for you, which means I'll get you out of here in 90 minutes. Photo here. And if you read the description of today's video, it was a joke. But it was something about like... Oh, let me just pull it up real quick. I don't want to misquote this one because it was actually quite funny. Oh, did the great shill debate make it to the world stage? That's going to trigger some people. Anyway. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced Thursday that his government has launched a new online fundraising platform that he says will help his country stop the war that Russia has started and to rebuild what Russia has destroyed. No, it's not Patreon. It's not Utreon. It's not... What else is there? What's the other one? Subscribestar. No, he didn't start any of those things. The platform is titled United 24. It says on its website that any donations will be transferred to the official accounts of the National Bank of Ukraine and allocated by assigned ministries to cover the most pressing needs, which it identified as defense and demining, medical aid, and rebuilding of the country. Only together we have the potential to stop the war that Russia has started and to rebuild what they've destroyed. Together we can help fight freedom and defeat tyranny, Zelensky said in a video message posted on the website. Today Ukraine is fighting not only for its own freedom, but for the freedom of the whole democratic world, he added. We will always remember your contribution to the victory of Ukraine and to the victory of freedom. The request for donations, which can be made in cryptocurrency, come as the U.S. and Europe is supplying Ukraine with billions of dollars in security and humanitarian assistance. You can make a donation in one click from any country in the world. Join United 24. Tell your friends about the initiative, Zelensky said on Thursday. Now, the difference between this and the great shill debate and debacle of the last 3 or 4 years between firearms content creators is, donating the money to this group is exactly so they can buy guns. Whereas the others were taking donations for maintaining their channel, and then they turned around and just bought whatever guns they wanted. Big difference. I will send the money to United 24. It's just what I do. Anyway, let me see if there were any updates before I let you all go, because that's kind of a new thing that I've been doing for the last couple of days, because my cutoff has changed slightly. Yes! Man, that's a gorgeous boat, too. I think I'm going to save this story for tomorrow, but just to give you a little teaser. Russian oligarchs' $300 million luxury yacht seized in Fiji on behalf of the U.S. A luxury $300 million yacht belonging to a sanctioned Russian oligarch has been seized in Fiji by request of the U.S. in a move that the Justice Department says proves Putin allies cannot hide, not even in the remotest part of the world. The sleek 348-foot vessel, called the Amadea, is owned by Suleiman Kerimov, who is part of a group of Russian oligarchs who profit from the Russian government through corruption and its malign activity around the globe, including the occupation of Crimea, according to the Treasury Department. This yacht seizure could tell every corrupt Russian oligarch that they cannot hide, not even in the remotest part of the world, Deputy General Lisa Monaco said in a statement. We will use every means of enforcing the sanctions imposed in response to Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war in Ukraine. Now look, I don't make very many demands. I don't make very many requests. But I think, take it for what you will, that the service that I have provided you for the last 51 episodes warrants that I can request that this seized yacht be turned over to me. Now, I did that, I said it that way on purpose, because that is a direct kind of quote from Marty Pascal in Down Periscope. You can sort of tell the cadence was the same, right?
I knew where you were going with that.
Martin Pascal, God bless you all. Yeah. I think you should turn over command of this yacht to me. And then like the whole crew just starts laughing. Yeah, this is Commander Tom Dodge signing off. Anyway, that's the only story I had for you. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and play this. I did keep the ending theme song the same, because it's one of my favorites. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular here, welcome back. Either way, check out my other playlists and see if my other interests might be of interest to you. I want to thank you for being very active in the chat today, HVS. If I were to sail it, I would sail it from the Gulf of Mexico, Galveston Island, Galveston, Texas, through the Panama Canal, and straight to Kodiak Island, and back and forth, as many times as I want, until I hit an iceberg and sink. But there are no icebergs in the ocean or the Gulf of Alaska.
Or until they refloat the Texas.
Or the Sullivans. Anyway.
That's already been refloated.
Oh, well that's good. Anyway, this was the War Room. This was day 71. We'll be back for day 72. Tomorrow. Hopefully. Slava Ukraini, and good night.